Car manufacturers in Great Britain can currently save themselves expensive commercials for their new electric flagship. The power of the news pictures is just fine. While long queues form at the petrol stations, the army delivers the petrol and people on horses ride past the traffic jams. The electric cars are particularly noticeable on the streets of London. And in view of the crisis, they are increasingly in demand. Operation Ascalon sounds like the next James Bond film, but it is supposed to contain the fuel crisis in England. The British military mainly supplies petrol and diesel to petrol stations in the southeast of the island, the government said. The bottlenecks there are particularly large and stabilization of the situation is not really in sight. In the north of England and Scotland, however, the supply is secure. Since the first petrol stations ran out of fuel, long queues had formed in front of the pumps. The panic buying, what we call hamster purchases, by motorists with their canisters exacerbated the need. The trigger was neither an oil crisis nor war in the Middle East. Despite Brexit, enough fuel arrives on the island. But there is a lack of truck drivers who drive the fuel from the ports and refineries to the filling stations. The government now wants to issue thousands of visas for truck drivers, for example from Eastern Europe, but the interest has so far, let's say, been manageable. Prime Minister Boris Johnson is already preparing the population for the bottlenecks to become permanent. The BBC reports that the crisis could still have a say in life in the country after Christmas. The British seem to be drawing their conclusions from the fossil fuel crisis surprisingly quickly. Just a few days after the first petrol station tanks were empty, there was a measurable increase in interest in electric cars. At first, search engine analyzers showed it. Now car dealers confirm it. Anyone who buys or orders a car on the island chooses a model with an electric drive more often than ever before. People don't just look, they get tons of specific offers for e-cars, reports Philip Saylor von Amende, head of the new car comparison portal CarWow. Around every sixth car buyer buys a new car via the platform, which is the market leader in Great Britain. In the first few days after the outbreak of the fuel crisis alone, interest in e-cars rose by 56%. People don't buy a new car overnight, but experience has shown that the surge in interest should lead to a 50 to 70% increase in sales, estimates Saylor, and the platform is fueling the drive turnaround on the island with its own e-campaign. Don't be foolish, a play on words, of course, with fuel and foolish. Boris Johnson and Brexit are developing into a blessing for electric cars on the island, believes Ferdinand Dudenhöfer, director of the Center for Automotive Research, and he says, the longer the traffic jams at the petrol pumps, the more demand for electric cars soars, and the effect lasts for a good 6 months. If it weren't so sad, one could suspect an action by the political marketing professional Johnson. In fact, Great Britain is aiming for an early end to the climate-damaging sales of combustion engines, at least for new cars. It should be over in 2030. Johnson moved the exit date forward 5 years to accelerate the green industrial revolution, as he put it. The domestic luxury brands Jaguar, Aston Martin, Bentley and Rolls-Royce are already on the electric trip into the future. Well, they are domestic because they are there, but they are not British cars. As in the country, a purchase premium helps consumers to make a decision. Although the subsidy is not as exorbitant as in Germany, there are 2,500 British pounds, that's just under 3,000 euros, a premium for new electric cars as long as they are not more than 35,000 pounds. As in Germany, the discount is triggered in e-boom on the island. The fuel crisis now intensifies this. In Germany, the state pays electric car buyers up to 6,000 euros. In addition, manufacturers grant a discount of up to 3,000 euros. In September, the number of petrol and diesel sold in the UK fell to an all-time low. The Society of Motor Manufacturers and Traders, the SMMT, counted 215,000 newly registered cars of all drive types, the lowest number in 20 years though. That was even a third less than in the previous month, which the British were still in lockdown, so to speak. In contrast, sales figures for electric cars rose steeply. The car dealers officially report an increase of more than 15%. With almost 33,000 vehicles, more than ever before, there are even fewer than combustion engines, but the gap is rapidly closing. In addition to the fuel crisis and purchase bonus, there's another reason for the trend reversal. Manufacturers do not have enough semiconductors for their fully digitized cars, which leads to production downtimes and waiting times. Although we had high demand in the summer, we have already been burdened with delivery problems for 3 months in a row due to the lack of chips, especially from Asia, says the SMMT. This has particular consequences for the British car market. The car makers are initially redirecting supplies to markets that are lucrative for them, says Carwow boss Saylor. And this includes Germany, for example, but definitely not Great Britain, where new car prices are generally lower. The manufacturers also prefer to equip electric cars with chips more than burners, because they want to make rapid progress in the segment. And the result on the island is electric cars are available with relatively short delivery times, but combustion engines are hardly available. An electric Jaguar can be picked up directly at the dealership. Customers on the island waited 2 months for the e-Mercedes EQC and 1 month for the e-BMW i3, significantly shorter than in Germany, by the way. If you order a combustion engine in England now, says Saylor, you will probably get it in a year. And I'll see you in my next video. Bis gleich.